What is going on, everybody? This is Dorelli's back with a brand new review. And today's review is going to be focused on the first 3 episodes of the new season of Search Party Season 4. And I just got done watching the first 3 episodes, and all I gotta say is just wow. Like, so much went down. Like, I have a feeling that Season 4 is going to be much darker than Season 3 was. And so far, I like this season. I think it's pretty good. Like the tagline on the poster, it said it stopped being a party a long time ago. And yes, it definitely stopped being a party a long time ago. So, no more talking. Let's get straight into this review. And before I start, I will be spoiling the first 3 episodes. So if you have not seen it, do not watch this video. Just because. So, Season 4 immediately begins where Season 3 ended, with Dory, after being subdued and everything, being placed in a bag, like a suitcase bag, and then placed in the back of the trunk of a car. And then we see the stalker driving, somewhat having a good time. And then he stops at a gas station to get some gas, to get some candy bars. He's looking for a certain candy bar, but according to the store owner, they don't sell no more, or he doesn't know what he's talking about. And then we see Dory being able to unzip the bag, screaming for help. And that's how it begins. Then we see what we saw in Season 3's opening of her talking with her head shaved. We see that now. And now Dory, her head's all shaved. She's dressed in white. She has a whole bunch of chains on her and everything. And she is forced to make videos saying that the stalker is her best friend, and then everybody else can go F off. And we finally find out why the stalker is doing what he's doing. The stalker's name is Chip, and he said the main reason as to why he got Dory was because of how he saw her on television. And then he was like, you know what, who is this? Like, we have so much in common. And then while Dory was going through her trial in the last season, Chip was starting to find out more things about her and started to stalk her all around. Stalk her while she was eating, stalk her, following her, just nearly everywhere that she went. And Chip says is that he's going to let her go in the first episode, but then it's just a hoax. He was never going to let her go because he gives her water. Well, Dory asks for water, but then Chip puts something in the water that knocks her out. Meanwhile, we have Drew, Portia, and Elliot. They're all doing the separate things. Elliot and Portia, they have a whole bunch of drinks and are trying to go to Dory's house to have a party for her and Drew for beating the trial. And Drew does not want to have nothing to do with Dory after all that has happened within the last 3 seasons and everything. While Drew and Portia are still trying to focus on having this party, they keep ringing the door, but then they realize that Dory ain't answering. That's because she's not there. And then some time goes on. Drew finally meets up with Elliot and Portia, and he somehow still has a key to unlock the apartment and everything, and they make it through. So then meanwhile, Dory wakes up to her new home, I assume. It's fake. All of it is fake. Everything is made of cushion, paper, nothing sharp so that she can use to break or escape. And in this season, so far, we see that Dory is starting to lose it already. I would too, because it seems like she's in a crazy house or something, because she has no way to get out. Only Chip has keys and everything to get out. And to make things 10 times worse, she can't escape without his help, because there's a door that leads to the basement that she's trapped under, and it has a steel door, and it has a code, five numbers. Only Chip knows the code. So then, back at Dory's apartment, Chip wrote a letter to Dory as she was, giving it to Drew and making it seem like she's not coming back. She blaming Drew for all that has happened. And then, long story short, Drew, Elliot, and Portia, they all get drunk. They then call Dory to basically berate her, basically saying that all that has happened is her fault. And they all make out a freaking threesome. And I was really surprised to see that. And so then the episode ends with Dory at her new home, just all bad. Like, she is all bad. So then in episode 2, some time has gone. And it's been like 3 months now, as everyone has like kind of like went their separate ways, but still keeping in contact with each other. Drew now works at a carnival as one of the costume stunt actors, while Elliot, she is continuing her acting, and she hears of a new job that is basically focused on Dory. And she's a little confused at first, but then she is somehow offered the role to play Dory, and she somehow accepts it. Elliot, on the other hand, gets a job at a news station, mostly political, talking about political things between the liberals, conservatives, and everything. And then on one day, he is doing so well on the show is that the news people want to offer him a full-time job, and they also want him to switch sides from being a liberal to a conservative. At first Elliot is not like on board with it for many reasons, but then once he asks for a few things, he accepts. Meanwhile, at the crazy house where Dory is trapped at, Dory is losing it real bad. And then Chip comes in. He gives Dory dolls of Elliot, Portia, and Drew, and they all look very similar alike. And Chip is crazy. Like, he is impersonating his Aunt Linda, who I assume is dead and all, because Aunt Linda is like 70 years old and they are living at her house. And I'm starting to think that Chip may have done something to his Aunt Linda, because we haven't seen her once at all. And Dory is trying to do whatever it takes to get out of that house. So then she accidentally shats on herself to like get out of the room and all. And also, I forgot to add too, at the very first episode, Dory does try to kill freaking Chip with a pen, but it does not work at all. And that's what happens. So then she goes, takes a shower. She didn't realize that there's a window in the shower, and she tries to figure out what to do. And then some time goes on, and then Chip starts to make threats towards her. He was like, if she tries to escape or such and such, or she tries to look, then he's basically going to break both of her legs. And by the end of episode 2, we see that Chip gives her something different to eat, because all he was giving her was chicken nuggets, mashed potatoes with white gravy, and an apple that she had eaten one time at a restaurant. And he was like, since I saw you eat this one time at a restaurant, how about you eat this and all? And we see that he has like 50 to like 100 boxes of like chicken nuggets. And with the apples, Dory starts to place the stickers on the door. And we know it's been a long time, because she has like over like 50 to 100 stickers on the door now, since the time jump, I assume. And then by the end of episode 2, we see that Dory is given chicken wings and something else, and she was able to save a bone. And now she realizes that she has some type of weapon. Episode 3, and then we finally realize that it is a time jump, because it's been like 3 months according to Chip, as it's in December now. And so Dory and Chip, they have like a friendiversary with each other, 3 months and all. Chip forgets, and then Dory reminds him as a way to possibly like escape and all that kind of stuff. And so the friendiversary, they have a food fight. It gets messy. Dory gets into the shower, and this time she is able to escape. And yeah, it gets crazy. Drew, on the other hand, at his new job at the carnival, he makes a new friend. I don't think they're boyfriend or girlfriend yet, but they're starting to get there. And she finds out about Drew and his trial and all that has happened. And so Drew comes clean to her. And she also comes clean to Drew about what she's done. And what she's done, in my opinion, is 10 times worse than what he did. So apparently, the Drew's friend at the carnival tells her about the time that she was babysitting somebody and she decided to go out to get something and she took the baby too. And long story short, she was wearing rollerblades and the baby slipped out of her hand and it basically was killed on sight because they landed on the street and it splattered. And Portia, she's continuing to do her job and all that kind of stuff, preparing to be Dory at her new gig and all. She meets with the director and she wants some things changed to make it seem like Dory wasn't all that kind of messed up because it has something to do with squirrels. Elliot, on the other hand, he's loving it as a conservative at his new job. And he is now starting to gain a whole bunch of fans that loves Elliot for telling the truth, stuff like that. And in episode 2, I'm sorry I forgot to add, somehow Chip was able to hack into Dory's Instagram account and he photoshopped Dory in Europe and everything, making it seem like that she's in Europe. But in episode 3, by the ending, we see that Drew is starting to realize that something may not be right because he realizes that Dory has on one of his shirts. And I hope that he realizes that something is off, that Dory's in danger. And meanwhile, Dory is able to escape and she is able to find some storage that has what I assume like a whole bunch of like records or papers or whatever. She finds a machine and she tries to speak and everything. She keeps saying hello and the other person, a kid, tells her to go F off. And all hope may seem lost. And she is starting to hallucinate Drew, Portia, and Elliot, and they tell her to keep going. But she sees a car. She runs out of the building, she sees a car, and it's some black guy. He is driving and everything, and she asks him to take her to the police station. And unfortunately, the man does not have a phone, and they start talking. And then he realizes that Dory is the one who basically got off murder charges. He then loses control of the car, and then long story short, they crashes. I assume the old man is now on a t-shirt because he doesn't move at all. Dory is stuck. And then another car comes by, but it's Chip, dressed up as his Aunt Layla because he impersonates Aunt Layla to make it seem like she's alive. On the other hand, while I think that she is dead and he might have killed her, because some lady by the name of Paula Joe comes by Aunt Layla's house and she talks about Christmas decorations on how she has decorated Aunt Layla's house for the last like 45 years. And then Chip impersonates her, and that's how it ends on episode 3 with Chip finding Dory all trapped underneath the car. And that is all. I would say the first 3 episodes are good in my opinion. It's more tense than season 3. Yeah, they was facing some charges, but Dory's in a whole nother situation. Like she's in some real life danger. Hopefully, I think that Drew now realizes that something is going on with Dory because it didn't seem right. But I don't like it that HBO Max decided to air 3 episodes a week. Like, I have a feeling something big is going to happen by the end of season 4. But that is the end of today's review. I will continue to review Search Party. And that is all. Until next time, goodbye.